Hi, welcome to the video on linear pairs. In class we talked about linear pairs and what they are just two angles that are adjacent to each other that are supplementary. They have to be two angles stuck together at one ray that add up to 180. They have to form a straight line together. So for instance, if you wanted a quick diagram of that, you have to have a straight line. It could be a line segment too, but this one has arrows, so it's a line. And it has to have a ray coming out of it. Basically the idea is that you've got one angle here that we see in blue, and you've got another angle here that we see in orange. The point is though that one of these lines has to be colored in twice. They have to share that ray. Okay, that's why they're adjacent. They share this ray. And the other thing is those two other rays, the two rays that aren't shared, the non-common ray I should say, the non-common rays go in opposite directions and they make a straight line. This is an example of what a linear pair looks like. So if we look at this example up here, we have several linear pairs. Okay? You've got your straight line here, which that's what we're going to focus on. If you can put a straight line down, you know you've got linear pairs. Okay? Straight line there, straight line there. It's the same line, just looking at two sides of it. I'm going to start with the top. If I look at the top right here, this is a straight line. These two angles, they have to add up to 180 degrees. So do these two. So if this is 45 degrees, if angle CBD is 45, then whatever ABC is, it has to add to 45 to give me 180. So a quick way to do it is 180 minus 45, and that should give you the answer. In this case, I know that this angle ABC here is 135 degrees. And if you add them up, they do give you 180. The part that we've been doing in class has been more algebraic. So we're looking at something down here, because here's the straight line again, here's just the other half of it. So if I add these two angles together, I should get 180 degrees. Well, this is what might stop you, might confuse you a little bit. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take one of these and add it to the other. You can say 25 plus 4x plus 3, or backwards, 4x plus 3 plus 25. It doesn't matter, but either way, once you write it down, you have to say it equals 180. So we'll write that. 4x plus 3 plus the other one plus 25 equals 180. And then after that, we just have to solve. Well, we've solved a lot of equations before. You just combine like terms first. So we look through the left side. I see 4x, I see positive 3, I see positive 25. There's no other x terms other than this, so I leave it alone. But these guys, they're both constants, positive 3 and positive 25. If I combine them, I get positive 28. So I'm going to say 4x plus 28 equals 180. Okay? Well, now it's a two-step equation. We've solved lots of these. You want to, since this says 4 times x technically, plus 28, you're going to go backwards. So normally, if this was order of operations, you do 4 times whatever this is, then afterwards you'd add the 28. Since we're going backwards, we do the opposite of those steps in the opposite order. So since the addition would have happened last, we get rid of that first, and the opposite of addition is subtraction. So I subtract 28 here. Whatever I do to the left, I have to do to the right. I subtract 28 here. The 28s will cancel. I'll bring down my 4x. 180 minus 28 should give me 152. And then my last step, since this was 4 times x, I do the opposite. I divide by 4. And that should give me my answer. I'm going to find out that x happens to be, what is this? Why can't I think of this in my head? That's kind of embarrassing. 152 divided by 4, 38. It's been a long day. Okay. X equals 38 there. And if you plug it back in, you should find out that's right. 4 times 38, that should give you 152. 152 plus 3 is indeed 155. And the point is that these two angles, 155 and 25, they do add up to 180. So we did it right. Now you couldn't do anything like this here. You couldn't say that these two add up to 180 because they form a bent line. That doesn't work the way we want it to. Remember, you need this kind of diagram here. And if you want to see it again, it'd be this angle and this angle. And together, they do form that linear pair idea. They're adjacent, they're next to each other, they share this common ray, and the other two rays go in opposite directions, forming your straight line. Let's let's look at the second example. The second example is kind of the same idea. So again, I'll trace my two angles that form a linear pair. I've got STR in orange. I've got STV in blue. And together, yeah, they share that common ray, so they're adjacent. And the two opposite rays form a straight line. So we're good to go. This is a linear pair, which means I can add this and add this together, and I'm going to get 180. So I'll do that. I'll say 4x plus 7, or I could have said 6x plus 3 first. The order doesn't matter. Plus 6x plus 3, since the linear pair has to equal 180. And then I just combine like terms and solve. Okay, so this time I actually do have two x terms. I've got positive 4x, I've got positive 6x, that gives me positive 10x. Positive 7, positive 3, that gives me positive 10. Bring down everything else, equals 180. Beyond that, well, two-step equation. 10 times x plus 10, get rid of the addition first. Opposite of adding 10 is subtracting 10. From both sides, canceling them there, you're left with 10x, comes down. 180 minus 10 is 170. And then my very last step, 10 times x, well, I do the opposite. Instead of multiplying by 10, I divide by 10. My 10's cancel. I get x is 17. There we go. Again, if you plug these back in, you'd find out what your answers would be to make sure that they work. 6 times 17 in this case is 102, and 102 plus 3 is 105. That's a terrible thought. 105. 4 times 17 in this case is 68. 68 plus 7 is indeed 75. If I add these up, I get 180. The one note that I will make about this that you should hopefully have picked up, you could have seen that there's a linear pair there too. And though you wouldn't have known what it was right away, like knowing this is 6x plus 3 doesn't tell you what this is. But now that you know this is 105, since this is a straight line and these two angles are adjacent, well, they have to add up to 180 as well. 105 plus something gives me 180, or 180 minus 105, 75. Which you'll notice those are the same, which should give you a pretty good idea. And this is going to be 105. It's going to be the same as that. Those are called vertical angles, and I'll explain something about them in another video. All right? I hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the box or ask me in class, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right? Have a good day.